Why are we called Negroes? Why are we deaf, dumb, and blind? Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years
We are live.
We are live. Welcome to our Thursday night talks. Notice I said Thursday night talks, our Thursday night talks, because
Our.
guess what? It is
Collectively.
your Thursday night talks. So, with that being said, I am going to be your moderator today.
Right.
And let me take off these glasses because I listen. I was doing some stuff. I will be your host today. And I would like to formally introduce our co-hosts, which they don't need to have any type of introduction. I mean, they're the bomb.com. I mean, look at them. Look at the mighty FOI. But without further ado, I would like to introduce my co-host over to my right, but technically
right.
my left
Your
because
left.
it's StreamYard. Right. Our dear brother Tony Muhammad, and then our lovely co-host brother Mark X has been a jewel to the 7th Region
I
Coalition.
bear witness.
And as you can see, we don't have our other co-hosts, Sister Felicia, with her vibrant energy. She will not be on the show today. However, she will be staying. She's actually launching her new business. So she's going to actually talk to you more about that when she comes back. But she's doing a data test on her new business for the first 5 weeks. And then, of course, our wonderful brother Philip, he's actually seeing us actually on the road because he's actually traveling. So he will be tuning in the comment section of our show.
Philip.
Yes, brother Philip. So I just want to thank you all again. And always we encourage you to please like and share.
Nothing. It costs nothing.
It costs absolutely.
But it helps us in our algorithm, if you want to call it. That does come from an Arabic term, algorithm, where you're able to see this this interview done more on Facebook, and where are we also YouTube, and we're on Twitch and
Right.
whatever other platform you may see us on. Share, like, it doesn't cost anything. What we are
Exactly.
dedicated to do, dear family, is to provide you with quality programming through the guidance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
That's right.
And our purpose and aim and objective is to save lives.
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to go into in just a moment.
Praises be to Allah. Well, Brother Tony, without further ado, I am going to pass the mic over to you.
Over to me. You remember we used to do that, like passing over the mic to me, like this. Hilarious. Yeah. Let me begin properly. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom holy praises are forever due, the Lord of the worlds, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the Supreme Being to whom holy praises are forever due. I am forever thankful to Almighty God Allah for his merciful intervention in our affairs and raising one from among us, showing his divine favor among Black people here in North America and throughout the Americas and the Aboriginal peoples of the earth. I thank Allah for raising from among us the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the exalted Christ, and Mao Mahdi, the eternal leader of the nation of Islam. And I thank them both for the star student in our midst today, who has been dutiful to the instructions of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who has been teaching to the multitudes of our people since he stood back in 1977, and has been teaching our people and raising our people ever since. I thank Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Messiah of Allah's Christ in our midst. In their divine names, I greet you in peace. We say it in the Arabic language. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. Buenas noches. Sakpase. Abaragani. Free the land. Welcome to Thursday Night Talks, spearheaded by the 7th Region Coalition to help save lives.
Yes, sir.
The 7th Region Coalition to help save lives was assembled, was put together by our student regional minister, to Minister Patrick Muhammad, soon after the criterion message of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which took place on July 4th, 2020. We were in the midst of a pandemic, and the minister put us in the direction of warning our people of a dangerous experimental COVID-19 vaccine, which was not really, and still I don't call it a vaccine because it's not, it's experimental technology. Right. Which, inshallah, Sister Kalila, Brother Mark, we will go more into in a future program just as a follow-up, because the Final Call newspaper has been printing a series of articles confirming what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan shared with us all along.
Yes, sir.
So, but we must continue to save lives, and not just in one way, but in multiple aspects of life. We're given here 9 ministries to show forth how we can save lives. These 9 ministries were put together by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in 2005 in the midst of the Millions More movement. Tonight, we are focusing on 2 ministries, which, because our guest, excuse me, I was going to say host. Well, our brother, if you see him on social media,
he could be a host too,
like a co-host, really, because we're going to get into some beautiful discussions here tonight. But our guest here tonight is very versatile,
yes,
and is very gifted in many different endeavors. We're focusing on 2 ministries: the Ministry of Trade and Commerce and the Ministry of Education. I'm going to read both. I'm going to start with the Ministry of Trade and Commerce, which is responsible for the growth and development of the business and economic interests of the society. This ministry is dynamic in nature, relying on the input of consultants with experience and success in business and economics. It analyzes the economic state of the community and develops programs and policies for growth and stability on the basis of the needs of the community. It translates skills, talents, and interests of the community into viable revenue streams, and works with the Ministry of Education to encourage entrepreneurship. So here we're dealing with, when you're dealing with this ministry, you're extracting from all the gifts and talents that are around you like a god. I just wanted to add that in there.
Like a god.
Like a god. We'll go more into that, inshallah, very soon. But the second ministry we're focusing on here tonight is the Ministry of Education, which is a beautiful segue from the previous ministry. The Ministry of Education is responsible for the mental and moral development of the members of the society by means of formal instruction in a prescribed manner over a prescribed period of time in a system of learning ranging from preschool through primary through advanced academic levels, culminating in the conferring of academic degrees under the direction of a National Board of Education. In addition to academic instruction, students shall receive teaching and training in the way of righteous conduct, decency, and self-respect, with the goal of making a better nation of people. So it's with this ministry, it's not just simply about gaining the knowledge, but also gaining morals as to how to apply the knowledge. And so, inshallah, God willing, we'll be going into that here tonight.
Awesome.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Well, let's find out about our dear brother, as we want to make sure that we understand who our brother is. Our dear brother, Ghazi Muhammad, is not just a name, but a symbol of resilience, transformation, and empowerment. His life story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the indomitable human spirit. Born into a world of adversity, Ghazi's early years were anything but easy. His childhood was marred by hardships that would have broken many, but instead they served to forge his unyielding spirit. The crucible of Ghazi's life was his 7-year stint in prison. This period could have been the end of many, but for Ghazi, it was the beginning. It was during these challenging years that he discovered his innate ability to rise above circumstance and transform adversity into opportunity. He learned that the human spirit is unconquerable and that every setback is a setup for an even greater comeback. Upon his release, Ghazi dedicated himself to helping others who found themselves in similar situations. He developed mentorship programs for at-risk youth, providing them with guidance and support to navigate their own challenges. His programs have been instrumental in transforming countless lives, steering them away from paths of destruction towards those of growth and success. Ghazi's entrepreneurial spirit led him to start several businesses. Each venture was a testament to his unwavering dedication. Each venture was a testament to his unwavering determination and innovative mindset. His businesses not only provided him with financial stability, but also created job opportunities for others, further extending his impact for society. Ghazi's book, Straight Up 17 Lessons on Living Authentically, serves as a roadmap for anyone seeking to live an authentic life despite their circumstances. It's filled with practical lessons drawn from his personal experiences, offering readers valuable insights on overcoming adversity and achieving personal success. As a speaker and professional storyteller, Ghazi has the unique ability to captivate audiences with his compelling narratives. His stories are not just entertaining, but also deeply inspiring. His stories are not His stories are not just entertaining, but also deeply inspiring, filled with lessons of resilience, courage, and transformation. He has a knack for connecting with his audience on a profound level, leaving them motivated and empowered. Ghazi's superpower lies in helping others unearth their personal stories and extract the lessons needed to elevate their lives and businesses. He believes that everyone has a unique story to tell, and within that story lies the power to transform not just their own lives, but also those of others. Brothers and sisters, let us bring to the stage our dear brother, the virtual stage, our dear brother, Brother Ghazi Muhammad. Bring him on.
There he is.
Thank you, big.
Allahu Akbar.
Praise be.
Praises be to Allah. Brother, it is an honor and a privilege. Like I said, I've been following this brother for a long time. And every time I follow this brother, I am like truly, inspired about, his perseverance, his talents, his unwavering efforts to not only reach the pinnacle of success as this world, of course, is going down, but also reaching out to, similar youth that are in similar crisis that he was once in as a child. I'm honored, and it's a great privilege to have you on the show, brother.
Thank you. I'm very honored, sister.
So with our first question, Brother Ghazi, in the past 5 years of this phase in your life, what is the most life-altering statement that you heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say to support you to embody the principles of rising above the emotion into the thinking of God?
Oh man, that's a powerful question. Let me start in the name of Allah, the merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the divine person of Master Prophet Muhammad. I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is indeed the exalted Christ, and that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that divine reminder and Messiah in our midst. And I'll greet you all with the greeting peace of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
And I want to thank the 7th Region Coalition. I've watched quite a few of your shows that invited Sister Felicia. Sister, I got to know her and Brother Rashad when they were in Phoenix, Arizona. And so I want to thank the 7th Region Coalition, as well as thank my big brother, Student Minister Patrick. I straight up love that brother, his wife, his children. That is my big brother. I had an opportunity to really get to know him a lot when we were in Phoenix, Arizona. And I've always loved his work, his spirit, and everything about that brother there and his family. So thank you and thank that brother. And the question was, like, what have I heard the minister say to profoundly affect me? It goes, one time I heard the minister talk about slavery, and he said that, he said, I know that you want to blame the white man for the transatlantic slave trade because you're a coward, and you don't want to put the blame where it really lies. And he said, it really lies on God. He said, because Allah permitted that to happen, but you don't want to say it was God's fault. And I paused that tape right there, that message, and I thought about what the minister was saying. And I'm thinking, I started reflecting on the lynchings and the rapes and the castrations and selling our babies and working from can't see morning to can't see night, 400 years of oppression. And I'm thinking, like, you mean to tell me that God himself permitted all that he's the root of this? Because the minister was saying that God permitted it because it created circumstances to bring forth the people that he needed. It created circumstances to bring forth the condition in the world that was going to call forth the coming of the great Mahdi, right? The condition of Black people in America, where he wanted to come down and see if all these cries were altogether real. But it had to be a circumstance. And so when I thought about that and reflected on that on a collective level, if we went through all this hell as a people and it was something divine on the other side, I started looking at my own personal life and said, what about on a personal level? Is it true that some of us can go through things, that on the other end, that God himself permitted it to happen, because on the other end, it was going to shape and mold the kind of human being that he needed for a certain type of work. And I got to looking at all my own person, in and out juvenile, kicked up out of school, drug rehab as a youngster, a runaway, getting my mama house shot up, and doing all kind of crazy stuff, going to penitentiary. I got thinking about all of that. Like, is it a divine reason for that personally? Could God permit me to go to make those choices and make those bad decisions to help shape and mold me into the kind of person that I am? So I started looking at things somewhat differently, and it kind of shifted my perspective and started looking at everybody's situation, all the trauma and all the hell and all the pain that we go through, and say, man, it's something in that. If you still living, then God permitted it to happen for a reason. And that kind of shifted and shaped my whole perspective on things.
Wow.
Praises be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Brother Ghazi, recently, see, you've made all these inspiring videos in the past couple of years. Like, all of a sudden, you were like on a farm, brother, and you made from your life from one transition to another. If you could expound a bit on what that transition was like, and what type of farming specifically are you focusing on right now? If you could tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, the transition was like everything else. And I think this is the nature that all of us should be in, because Allah is Rabbil Alameen, right? He nurtures us stage at the stage we reach perfection. So we should always be growing and always evolving. And so I say I went from the hood life to the good life.
No.
Because I never been around chickens or cows or horses. I never went fishing. I'll be 53 years old, inshallah, in a couple of weeks. I never went fishing until we bought this pond land to get to have a pond on it. So all this was totally new to me. But we just jumped into it, hearing the minister say, get land. I heard it for years. I never thought myself as a farmer, because I'm like, man, I'm from the hood. I don't know about no farm, man. Where am I grow up? I tear up stuff. I can be a part of demolition thing, but I didn't know nothing about building or growing nothing. And so when we got land, we actually purchased the land after my wife lost our daughter. She was pregnant, and it was interesting because the story goes, it was a highly anticipated pregnancy because my wife was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome at a young age. And they told her that she wasn't going to have any children. And when she was 16, she had a little girl. So now I have a tribe already, right? So I had already had 9 children already. So when she and I got married, in my mind, I'm thinking like, well, God knew who to put you with, because if I can't do nothing else, I can make some babies. And because I had already had children. So when she and I got married, in the early part of the marriage, she found out she was pregnant. And when she had the ultrasound, she found out it was a little girl. She was ecstatic. In her mind, that was fulfillment of God's answer to what he showed her at 16 years old, that she seen herself with this little girl in a dress, playing with this little girl. And so she on social media, she's showing her the stomach off, and her friends involved, her family involved, because we later up in age, according to this society standards, I'm pushing 50 and she in her 40s, so that's kind of up in age according to this society standard. And so she was excited, but then the baby died. It was stillborn. And my wife, she actually slept in the bed with this lifeless child for like several hours, and she went to sleep with the baby, and she dressed the baby and everything, and we just gave her space. The doctors, everybody just gave her space. And it was something because that happened a week after the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was in Phoenix doing the janazah for Brother Hannibal Sr.
Yes, sir.
It was a week later. And so when my wife came from the hospital, I was listening to the minister's janazah and his comforting words about life and death at Brother Hannibal's janazah. My wife had took the phone from me. She listened to the whole lecture over and over again, the whole janazah. And it was the words that really comforted her. Well, that experience shifted us, and we want to do something a little different. And the initial idea was to sell a house, buy an RV, and travel the country for like a year or so, because we both speakers and we can work wherever we was at. We can pretty much work remotely. And so I was listening to a video clip that Brother Ben X put out of the minister talking about land. And we had went and looked at an RV. We rented an RV, took the children to California in the RV to see if I was gonna like that kind of lifestyle. I'm like, I don't know about all that, but it was all right. But then when I heard the man say land, I say, nah, let's get some land. And we don't know about it. The only farm I knew was Brother Patrick here in of Your Faith Farm here in Georgia. I've been knowing Patrick for many years, very beautiful brother. And he and I both are from East St. Louis together. And so I called Brother Patrick and I said, I'm gonna come down to Georgia, brother, look for some land. I flew out here looking at some land, and he showed me all kind of land. And when I went back to Arizona, he actually sent me a picture of this. Said, "But I got the perfect spot." He sent me pictures. I flew back out here a week later, and we contacted one of the MGT who was a realtor. We contacted her, and she made the deal happen. And so since we've been here on the land, we didn't know what we was gonna do. I just brought, and my wife, we both entrepreneurs in spirit. So we brought an entrepreneurial spirit to the land. We didn't want to approach it like the old sharecroppers from Mississippi. Like, all thing we do is work from KC morning to KC night. We like, yeah, it's land. You can do all kind of creative things with your land, you know? And so we came, it was something, we started doing things, and we didn't know that we had to get license and permissions. And so we had to battle with the political system for a minute here. Because they came and said, y'all can't do that. We're like, why come we can't do this? This is our land. We free. What you mean we can't do on our own land? And so then we started understanding that there's a process to this. You got to get license and permissions and all that. And we had to really rally a lot of the Black political figures in our area. And they went to bat for us to allow them to permit us with a lot of things that would have been stopped to us. But since we've been here, you know, it has been probably 6,000-7,000 people that have visited the land through various programs. Whether through the Black Homesteader Conference that we started, the Ready Expo, we had many weddings, conferences, workshops, children field trips, and everything since we've been there. Now we started growing food again, not knowing nothing about no land. I went out in the field and I dug a hole, and I was like Jack and the Beanstalk, brother. I threw 100 seeds in this hole and 100 seeds in that hole. And I didn't know that you're supposed to separate this stuff so many inches away, and it's supposed to be neat. I didn't know none of that. I dug a hole and threw some seeds in the ground. And after about a month or so, all the grass and the weeds grew up. And I'm looking back, I'm like, man, I forgot why I plant this stuff at, because everything's rubber. I didn't know you're supposed to take care of it. And, you know, and I'm like, so after another month, what's that? Eggplant started growing, and squash and zucchini and cucumbers. And we had so much of that stuff. I'm like, what are we going to do with all this stuff? Because I put too many seeds in the ground. And so my wife actually went on Facebook, and she said, who gonna free farm fresh vegetables? So we had carloads of people pulling up, and we just giving out vegetables. Here, we didn't want it all to go bad, you know. And at that time, my wife didn't know how to can, so she contacted our great sister Cannon, Sister Colette Muhammad, and she went to Sister Colette's canning class and bought all the pots and all that kind of stuff to learn how to can and preserve some of this stuff. But at that time, we didn't know what we was doing, you know. And so we just jumped into it, and it's been a remarkable experience, a learning experience. I've learned so many valuable lessons with being on the land about myself, about life, and it's just so much. It's just a lot of beautiful lessons. But it's been a heck of a journey, to say the least.
Due to Allah, excellent. My dear brother, you have achieved a lot of great success in your life. Based upon your upbringing, did you ever dream or imagine that you would be in the space that you're in now? And what would you say to encourage the youth that are now struggling?
That's a good question, Big Brother. I could imagine it, but I didn't really believe it at a certain point, you know?
Yes.
I first heard the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1983. My uncle was the captain of the FY in Mosque 28 when I was growing up. Captain Gregory of Mosque 28 in East St. Louis. And the minister was Minister Rob, our big brother Wahid. It was Wahid's biological brother. He was a student minister in the mosque. And I went to the mosque initially for punitive purposes. My mother, she called her big brother and she said, you better come and get ready because I'm going to kill this boy. So I stayed in so much trouble. And this uncle here, he was a disciplinary. He didn't play. You know, you got some uncles y'all cool where you can get off some things with, but that uncle there, when he come around, everybody straighten up. He was that kind of uncle, like, we ain't messing with that right there because he'll put it on. Right. So he come around, he told me we're going to the mosque. I'm like, we going to work? He said, to the mosque. I'm like, yeah, all right, man. So he take me to the mosque. in my first meeting, they was talking about the cat, the rat, and the dog. I'll never forget it. It was 1983. I was 11 years old, going on 12. And my stomach started turning, thinking about them worms. And you know how on Sunday, black families traditionally had that big dinner on Sundays? I go home that Sunday at 2 o'clock at that time. And we came back from the mosque. My mother had pork chops, macaroni and cheese, and all that, and, you know, string beans. I said, I ain't eating that stuff no more. I said, no, I ain't eating that. They got a cat, rat, and a dog in it. And I mean, from immediately, I'm like, I'm not eating that stuff no more. Now, I didn't register to it years later. So I actually registered before prison. So I registered in 1988 at 16. I wrote my letter, got my ex, but I wound up going to prison a few months later. I was one of them buck wild, you know, I go to the mosque and I leave and might go steal a car, but I'm coming back to the mosque on Sunday because my uncle made me, you know. And they were putting seeds in my head. Valuable lesson for me was somebody planted seeds in my head. To answer your question, and this really helped me years later in my life when dealing with young people, because the FOI that I met, and I lived in Chicago for a minute. I was in the Final Call building. I met Sister Ava before I went to prison. May Allah be pleased with her. I met Dr. Khaled. May Allah be pleased with him. Brother Abdullah Muhammad, Brother Rodney Ibn Philly, so many other believers. Brother Abdullah Yassin, and Messenger's son, Mustafa. I met the minister. I met all of them before I went to prison in the Final Call building, before we had Mosque Mariam back, right? And so all this was in my head. These were seeds planted in my head. Now, when I went to prison, those seeds was watered. I got to reading all these books, and it started making sense to me.
Come on.
So it was an older brother said to me recently, like just in the last month or so, an older brother said, I'm not talking to these young brothers no more. He said, these ends are hard-headed. They don't listen. I ain't got nothing to say to them no more. And I said to him, I said, brother, that was me at one time, brother. I was written off at one time, even by my own mother. That he ain't gonna make it. He gonna be dead or in prison by the time he's 16. And so I know how that is. I say, but our job is to be like a farmer, to plant the seeds in their head. And when you plant the seeds, if they don't die at some point, those seeds will be cultivated. Because had I went to prison, a lot of brothers go to prison. But what made my stint in prison differently, because it was seeds in my head. So when I read books, it affected it. It watered something that was already in me. But I'm thinking, had not them brothers never said nothing to me, all them FY that I had met, all the examples that I had seen, if that was never in it, it wouldn't have been nothing to be able to come out. Now we on this farm, if you don't plant nothing in the ground, ain't nothing coming about that ground. I don't care how much you wish or pray about it, you better put a seed in that ground. If you want tomatoes or some watermelon or whatever you want, you better put something in the ground. So when I came back, years of being out of prison, I spent 48 months in solitary confinement during that time, 6 different prisons that they shipped me around to, and I was in max security prisons. And when I came home, it took me many years to realize that my greatest prison was not the 48 months of solitary confinement. It wasn't the 6 penitentiaries. It wasn't the murders and the violence that I seen. I seen people hang themselves. I seen bodies dangling because they couldn't take the atrocities and trauma of prison life. So they opted to kill themselves. I'm looking at that. But all this is in my head. But that wasn't my greatest prison. My greatest prison was in my own mind, believing that you ain't good enough, brother. You ain't qualified enough, brother. You ain't worthy enough. You're not educated enough, brother. Who gonna listen to you? All you guys are GED for penitentiary. Who gonna pay attention to you? You ain't got no education. You come from a family where your mother was struggling with drug addiction. Your father at one point was struggling with drug addiction. You come up in that hood, like, who gonna listen to you? So I didn't believe in myself. So I heard in '83, the black man was God. In truth, I didn't start believing that until a few years back. And when I started believing it, I accepted it, but I didn't believe it. Not to me. The Farrakhan, yes, talking about you, minister. They're talking about this brother, and that sister. But they ain't talking about Red from St. Louis. No, they ain't talking about me. Right. So I heard it, but I didn't believe it in my heart that they was talking about me, that I can be that person. And it's a lot of believers think like that. We hear it, but we don't necessarily believe it. How do the Quran say faith is not yet entered into their hearts? So I didn't have the faith that was applicable to me. But when it clicked, it's you too. when they really clicked and I started believing, oh, it was on. We started doing all kind of stuff from that point on, writing books, getting programs, getting businesses, and doing all kind of stuff. And now I'm like crazy with it now. I'm like out there with it now.
Praises be to Allah. Speaking of books, in your book, Straight Up, 17 lessons on living with oh my God, authentically. Thank you. I be having these mind-boggling thoughts. You mentioned and encourage the readers to travel within the connection within their authentic self. When did you find your authentic self, or are you still on a journey to find your authentic self?
Yes, ma'am. I'm still on the journey, and the authentic self. Sometimes when we think authentic self, because we know that I'm gonna say every time the black man look in the mirror, he's looking at God, right? So now with that right there, again, I'll mention Louis Farrakhan say once that God and Satan was the same entity in the opposite directions, or the same force. So, and I thought about that. Spencer said some heavy stuff. I'm like, and when you think about it, you're like, it's the same entity, the same force, but the opposite extreme, the opposite direction of the same force. We can be God or we can be devil. As we know, we gave birth to the devil. So we got that black and that brown gene in us. So your authentic self, right now, until that brown gene is eradicated, it's all of that. So my authentic self, I embrace all of that. I started seeing value in everything that I experienced. And that's what I'm saying, man. And when I look at it from that perspective, it makes so much sense to me that Allah permitted me to go through that, go through divorce, go through this, go through that, being a single father, doing this, prison life, this, but it shaped me and molded me and gave me a kind of unique perspective in life. So when I embrace my authentic self, I tell people to embrace the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent, and learn a lesson from all of it, no matter what you've gone through. If we learn a lesson from it, see, when I go out and teach, educators, when I go into schools, and Allah blessed me to be a consultant for educators. And I remember once a group of educators was talking, we were meeting in Arizona at a conference, and I shared with them, I said, just because you go through kindergarten, because they always taught us that experience alone is the best teacher. I like to challenge proverbial wisdom sometimes. And I say, well, experience by itself alone can't be the best teacher, just by itself. Because I know a lot of people that experienced going to prison, they got out, they ain't learned no lesson, they went back. It was hard the first time, the second time they doing life without parole. So I don't know what lesson they learned. I know people who smoke drugs, they lost everything the first time they hit that crack pipe, they lost everything the second time, so they keep experiencing the same thing over and over again. But what I believe is that in every experience is a valuable lesson. And that if we get the lesson from the experience, it's the lesson that catapults us to another level. And the example that I use is just because I experienced kindergarten, I went to recess with my friends, we played kickball, we did math, we learned our primary colors. Just because I experienced that don't mean I'm going to the first grade. I better learn the lessons of the kindergarten in order to go to the first grade. Well, that's just how life is. We can go through the experience, but if we don't get the lesson, we don't move to the next level. And even if the experience is bad and traumatic, if we get the lesson from it, it's the lesson in it that will take our life to another level. So no matter what I go through, it can be straight hell. I'm looking for the lesson in it. So, I mean, from the book, whatever I've been through, I'm looking for the lesson in it. And I look at the lesson, I'm like, ooh, God cold. Man, God cold. He put me through that for. Look at the lesson I got about it. And it takes away the emotional pain of certain experiences. Because it's like, man, I'll be grateful to Allah for the experience. Even though it appeared to be painful, it was a bad experience. But the lesson, like, man, look what God brought up out of this. So it expresses more gratitude from my heart in God,
Well, praises be to Allah, because also to add, with that elevation, it's also a test before you can go to the next level. Because a lot of times when we're dealing with, learning, it's like, okay, now God is going to test you for what you learn in order for you to go to the next level. Because guess what? If you haven't learned anything, you got to repeat that lesson until you get it right. So I pray to Allah that, and listen, I am on a journey right now that I promise you, I have actually identified one of my lessons is procrastination. I never knew that my life has taken so much of a turn because of procrastination. And somebody had to tell me about my life issue as it relates to procrastination. I was like, what? She said, it's not that you're lazy, it's that you're doing so much to where when things come to you that you have to take priority over, it will just it just, you just put it on the side because you have so many other things that you're doing, and there's no structure in regards to what you're doing. So procrastinating on important things can lead you into a turn where it's not good, but you'll learn from it because right now you're learning from it. And then also I want to share too that our dear Sister Felicia gave me, because I was talking to her about that. And she said, Sister Kalila, you know what somebody told me about procrastination? I said, what, girl? And it brought tears to my eyes. She said, procrastination is your ignorance, thinking that God owes you another opportunity to do something that you've already had time to do. I said, my God. When I said I was in tears, because I had to apologize to Allah. And you know what my big sister said? She said, don't beat yourself up, champ. She said, atone to yourself. Atone to yourself. Have mercy on yourself. Apologize to yourself. Because I know that you are a person that want to do right and want to do things in the right manner. It's just right now things are going a way that is not, you're not able to orchestrate, because it's in God's hands. It's not in your hands no more, because you took the opportunity to do something else versus doing something that God gave you the opportunity to do. So
Sister
guess
Kalila,
what?
we have a request. I want to make you crack up with this one.
Oh,
Will you repeat that?
Yes,
Sister?
absolutely. And I will also put that in the chat, but I'm going to repeat it. It says procrastination is your you ignore your ignorance. Well, it says procrastination is ignorance, thinking that God owes you another opportunity to do what you have already had time to do.
Wow.
I am going to put that in the chat, because when I say I was in tears, because it's like, God, I apologize. I had to apologize to God. I had to say, please have mercy on me, Allah. I know your time is so important, and I know my time is short. Please, Allah, forgive me that I have wasted your time on your earth. Please have mercy on me. But that was a learning lesson, right? Back to your learning lesson, Brother Ghazi, that I had to realize and had to say, okay, let's go to work, right? So praises be to Allah for that testimony, Brother Ghazi. I appreciate that.
Sister Kalila, if I could add, sometimes we're in survival mode and we don't know how to come out of survival mode.
That is true.
And we need a brother, we need a sister there to help show us the way out of that type of mentality. Because
that is true.
At that particular moment in our lives, we don't know any other way but other than to survive that way. So when critical things come our way, we start putting them to side. Like, I can't even handle that right now. But because we neglect them, that ends up coming back to us. So, but I'd like to come back to my beloved brother here, Brother Ghazi.
Yes, sir.
Because in just taking that right approach, of asking the question to Allah, what is the lesson in this trial for me? What is the lesson in this other trial for me? What is the lesson in this situation here for me? Taking that right approach is what enables the human being to grow. And your story, beloved, as we have put in the title, is a story of resistance and resilience. Resilience is a term used to describe the capability of withstanding and recovering quickly from difficulties. My question, what is your advice to our people, especially the youth, as it relates to being incarcerated and identifying your purpose in what is seemingly, I'm saying seemingly, a all hope is lost type situation?
So the question is like, what is it? What would I say to young people who be in a situation they appear to be hopeless?
Yes, sir.
Oh, absolutely, yes, sir. Yeah, that well, I would just encourage them to really take a look into their own story. So what I do is I show people in a story how it's not hopeless. And I love stories because several reasons. One, Allah himself uses stories as the medium to express divine revelation. From Genesis to Revelation, stories. From Al-Fatiha to Nas, stories. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, all the religious books is filled with stories. But these stories are laced with divine truths and powerful lessons for us to learn on. So now, if we take that not externally, but we apply that internally, well, let me look at my own personal story. Because we talked about all our subjects. History is most attractive. His story is most attractive. Your story, most attractive and best qualified to reward research. I used to always think that was the time about the history of the black man by itself. 6 trillion years ago, the moon, Yakub, and all, it was just that history alone. But I started looking at, well, what about my own history? If all my subjects, what about my own personal 53 years of history on this planet? Is it something I can study in that's best qualified for me, most attractive, and will reward my research? So when I show people in their own story, like, oh no, look at your, and they start seeing something of value. I'm gonna give you an example. I was interviewing a sister once from the East Coast, and she had been through a lot of like sexual abuse and assault in her life. And she called me for some coaching. And in her mind, she like, there's absolutely no way you can find value in this experience, because the man who was touching her was a man that she believed until she got grown was her father, but found out it wasn't biologically her father, it was somebody else. But can you imagine if you're a little girl that your daddy touching, you know what I'm saying? That's a hell of a traumatic experience right there, right?
Right.
But by the time we got through with parsing that story apart, she found a sense of purpose and a sense of mission in her own story. Now she's one of the top advocates in her area of other women and young girls who are victims of sexual abuse and assault. But she found a sense of purpose and a sense of mission from her own trauma that she tried to get away from. She tried to ignore. And sometimes we go through things and it be so painful and so traumatic, we try to push them out of our mind. I don't even want to think about it no more. You know how you go through just like you go through a bad experience. You know how I had a heartbreaks at some point in life, and that girl cheated on me. She broke my heart. I was loyal to her, but she cheated on me or whatever. And in my mind, I don't want to hear nothing about her name. Don't say nothing close to her name. I don't want to hear nothing about that experience and none of that, because the pain is too great for me to consciously remember. But when I do that, when I push it out like that, and I deny, what I'm doing is deny myself access to these lessons that can help take me to another level. If I push it out without getting that lesson, I'm gonna have to, what you say is, I'm gonna have to go through it again. I'm gonna do the same thing again, because Allah trying to give me a lesson, and He ain't got to keep giving me the opportunity. But I'm gonna go do something similar again, because I need you to have that lesson right there to go to another level. So what I do is I show people through their own stories. I don't care how horrific the story may be. It's something to value in it, because God is the source of it all, and He permitted it to happen. And the question is, if we can rise above emotion, this will help me connect Study Guide 18. And let me say that no matter what program I've developed in schools, everything, the root of it is the self-improvement study course. In my mind, that's the greatest study course on the planet. Nothing is more important to me than self. Okay, if I go to any school, I go to one of the study guides. And I pulled out something that the minister have said and create a mentoring program from self-improvement. Now, in Study Guide 18, when we talk to rise above emotion to the thinking of God, sometimes these experiences are so emotional that I'm not thinking mathematically. I'm not thinking critically, because I'm so overwhelmed by the emotional side of it. Now, in that study guide, we think it's talking about the domestic life and the pain of Mother Clara. And that's a lesson for us to study as a nation, because we're going to repeat certain history because we failed it the first time. However, if we take the lessons of Study Guide 18 and apply it to ourselves, the pain that I go through personally, let me rise above that emotion. And emotion is just not bad emotion. It's even good emotions, because all emotions are not bad. Some emotions are good, but I got to rise above all of it. I know I love you, but I got to be critical. I know I'm passionate about my children, but I still got to be critical. I can't be emotional with none of this. I got to be mathematical in my thinking. And when you look at the mathematics of your story, if everybody on this call, you look at the mathematics of your own stories, you start jumping for joy saying, praise be to Allah. Even that hell and that pain is human. You start saying Allah, whack bar, because you start seeing what kind of effect that the end result that it had on your life.
Praises be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, so as you all know, that the title of the show is A Rose That Grew Beyond the Prison Walls, the story of resilience. And I want to highlight the beautiful plant called the rose. The rose is, roses are particularly associated with femininity. Interestingly enough, our legendary rapper, which is my favorite rapper of all time, I don't the favorite rapper of all time, Tupac Shakur, refers to himself as the rose that grew up from concrete. That what would you what could you I'm sorry, what could be your connection to the rose which inspired you and which inspired the title of this show today?
What can be my connection to a rose?
Yes.
Well, I know roses have different color roses. Roses grow under, some of them grow up under unique circumstances. Some roses got thorns in it. We got roses out on the land that got some thorns in it. And I think I'm probably one of them thorny roses. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna kind of get too close, you might get pricked a little bit. I might be one of them thorny roses. But and some just just give something lovely, to your lady friend, to your mother. But I think roses are so different. Me having a small understanding of what roses are. I think that the diversity of the rose and the different unique ways of looking at the rose and the effect of the rose. The effect of the rose when you give it to somebody, when you give a rose to your wife or to your mother or to your daughter, or even when a woman give a rose to a man, the effect. So I think what we give, the effect that it has on what we give from ourselves, from our heart. Because when I give, I come from the heart. It might not, and sometimes I might say a cuss word. I'm trying to be very careful on how I say things on this show, because they're gonna tell me somebody slip out my mouth sometimes, because it's the authentic me, and I say it sometimes I'm being so much passion, and I might, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna believe I gotta be a little civilized here, But that thorn though, the way I come and the way I bring it and the effect, that really like helps me a lot. I was a part of a storytelling event that was filmed here in Atlanta. They flew from different parts of the country and they came to Atlanta. And this was about a year or so ago. And recently the sister entered that film / documentary that was on religion, philosophy, and mental health in the Black community. She entered into film festivals. So it was accepted and it was selected into being a 14th annual Charlotte Film Festival. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Then she told me today that it was accepted to be in a film festival in Delaware. And it's a deep, unique story about a sister who called me. She's a Christian sister. There was a lot of controversy about my part in the film because I mentioned the minister and an example and an experience that I had. So the people that was initially funding it, they said, nah, we don't want to put this on because he's saying Farrakhan. And that's happened several times in my own personal career. So I know when the ministers say that there's certain elements in our community that have control over certain things, I've experienced that personally on my level, on my little small level. I've experienced that, And but a brother called me recently yesterday he called me. He said, man, ain't it a beautiful thing to know that your life can affect people in a good way, in a positive way? And I say, brother, it really is, because that's example of the minister. I mean, because sometimes we beat up on ourselves. It's been times in my own life. You know how you got self-accusing spirit, and you do something wrong, and dang well you don't supposed to be doing that, right? But you feel so bad. I felt so bad at some things that I've done. I felt so bad I didn't want to even stand before Allah and pray for forgiveness. Right. I felt that bad. I'm like, I felt so ashamed. I didn't even want to stand before God, because in my mind, I'm like, you weren't supposed to be doing that kind of stuff right there, boy. Even though the Quran says he's often returning to mercy, the most merciful. It's in the book over and over and over again within my own self. It's like, self-accused, it beat me up so bad. I didn't even want to stand before the God and pray for forgiveness, But then I had to get up out of that. It's a lesson in that. Now, keep on going. Keep on going. If Allah allows you to live, it's a lesson in it. So just keep on going. You fall, get back up. Keep on moving forward. And sometimes we just beat ourselves up. Like I heard you say, don't beat yourself up. Sometimes we beat ourselves up too much. We beat ourselves and becoming immobile, you know, and for as procrastination. See, I was like that. I used to do so much stuff at one time, and a lesson for me, it was like the prism. That sunlight can hit that prism, and it can break them that sunlight down to all them beautiful colors, red and blue and green and all that kind of stuff. That look real pretty, but them colors don't have no power. I realized take that same sunlight and you put it through a magnifying glass, it focuses that sunlight. And that's where the power was right there. All that other stuff I was doing, it looked pretty. It looked good. Oh man, look at all these colors, look at all the things you're doing, all the activities you're involved in. But when I learned how to focus, that same power, that same light and focus, oh, I can set fires now. You know, I can transform things now. I can burn some stuff now. I can set some stuff ablaze now because I was able to focus and it just went all over the place. And sometimes the procrastination comes because we don't feel worthy within ourselves. In the story of Moses, God told him, boy, go to Pharaoh. I need you to do a favor. I need you to do something. Now, just thinking Moses would have said, well, I ain't ready right now. And he tried to come up with some excuses. I can't talk that good. I'm a convict. I'm wanted for murder. And, you know, I killed somebody. And God didn't want to hear all that. He know all that. He know you done killed somebody. He knows you got a stammering tongue. He knows your imperfections, but that ain't what I'm telling you to go do this. And sometimes we don't move only because we don't think we worthy of it within ourselves. Musa didn't think he was worthy himself. And God like, boy, who commanded you? I'm the best knower. You know who I am? I'm the supreme being, the best knower. Get your over to Pharaoh and tell Pharaoh what I said. And sometimes we like that. We want God telling us to go do some certain things, and we second guessing God. And within ourselves, it's all in the spirit is moving us. Everything of the circumstances, we get all the signs, but we like, oh man, I you know, it's not me. I'm not worried. I'm not qualified. But when we go in His name, when we go in His name, oh man,
that's
miracles
right.
happen.
Praise be to Allah.
Sister Kalila, I want to highlight this comment right here. Sister, we're gonna have to bring you on the show. Just my little thought. What do you mean, little thoughts?
This was a big thought.
Some big thoughts. The lotus that grows in mud or dirt. My God, mud is a purifying agent. Let's continue. The not so beautiful circumstances and water, but yet they are the most beautiful. And all of you on this show are beautiful. All praise to Allah. Just a reflection of you, dear sister.
Yes, yes.
And please send the greetings to your husband too.
Yes.
Beautiful couple. All praise to Allah.
Cool.
That's our where they're from Nashville, right? Right, Sister Kalila?
I don't know.
Sister Latricia.
But I love her.
Nashville? I know you're in Tennessee.
I love her.
In the chat. Thank you for your beautiful comment, dear sister.
Praises be to Allah.
You know, can I make a comment on that?
Yes,
Please
absolutely.
Please.
Yes.
You know, her comment reminded me of another lesson I got from the farm. You know, one time it was a brother teaching me, Wayne Swanson Family Farm here in Georgia. He was teaching me on regenerative agriculture. Because what happens with the land is that the Caucasian and this technological society, they got all these pesticides and herbicides and all that kind of stuff. They want to kill the weeds, but when they do that, it actually kills a lot of the microbes in the soil. So yes, when you apply a lot of that poison on the soil, it kills life. It kills weeds and all that, but it kills life in the soil. So it robs the soil of the natural nutrients and minerals that it needs to really grow a healthy plant, right? So he was showing me about regenerative agriculture. And at this time, we had cows at the time. And so we moved the cows to an area that wasn't too fertile, right? That they had used a lot of this poison on, right? And so the grass wasn't growing too much. And the cow poop is fertilizer, right? And so we let the cow poop on this little area and we mixed it up with dirt and we put seeds in it and it grew. I'm talking about 45 days, it's the most fertile part of the land. Now I'm sitting back looking at this and I'm like, man, this is some deep stuff, man. And my mind wired to see lessons now. And I'm looking at this, I say, hold on. You mean to tell me we took sometimes I say another word, but I'm gonna say poop on the show. You mean to tell me we took some cow poop?
You got some poop.
And we took some dirt and we mixed that together and planted and it made new life. And I'm thinking like, how many of us got the other word but poop in our lives that we dealing with that we don't really want to deal with? How many of us got dirt that we've done that we want to forget about and neglect? You know what? You ain't got to overlook that poop or that dirt that you're dealing with. You put a seed in that same poop and that same dirt, and there's gonna be new life that grew up out of that. And I witnessed that. I'm like, good God Almighty. So I'm looking at all the poop I got in my life that I've had and all the dirt that I've done. You mean tell me I can put a new idea, a new seed in that same dirt, and it's gonna be more fertile than everything around me? When I seen that, I say, oh Allah. I mean, like the lessons on the land is just so profound and so powerful, because sometimes we look at all that stuff and, you know, we go through some stuff and I want to forget about it. I don't even want to think about it. No, I'll put a new idea, a new seed in that same experience, that same dirt you can deal with, put a new plant a seed in it and watch how Allah brings some about that same seed and that same poop.
See, and if I could add, dear brother, see, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us in Closing the Gap that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad at one point that he was so full of mud that it was just his eyeballs sticking out of the mud. But he needed that mud in order to be able to refine himself, to see himself and how he could grow and elevate into not just the messenger of God, but we bear witness that he is a God today himself. And so in order to elevate into the next level into our lives, we have to self-reflect and see the kind, as you put it earlier, the kind of dirt that we've done. We have to allow other people to intervene in our lives and tell us, look, man, you're doing wrong. Look, sis, you're doing wrong. This is what's inhibiting you. You got a lot of potential, but this is what's inhibiting you from reaching your highest potential. We have to just, at that point, just listen to what is being said and just submit. Even if we disagree with the majority of what is being said, find that truth in all of that mess right there. Find the truth that you could agree on, and from there start moving in that course. Like, wait a minute. Before I disagreed with this, but now after I started moving in this direction, now I can see what people meant when they told me that I've been living wrong. I can see what they're telling me, that I talk too much or whatever the impediment is. But in order to be able to grow and elevate to the next level, we have to submit and just find the truth in what other people are telling us. I'm sorry. I got on my preacher's box. I'm sorry. I just got excited.
Well, dear brother Ghazi, one of the main purposes of our show, the Seven Region Coalition, we're here to save lives. And the question that comes to mind with you is this: what do you feel is your greatest achievement in the area of saving lives?
Probably the work among the youth, the work we done among the youth. I remember once I worked in one of the worst high schools in St. Louis at that time, Beaumont High School, and it was I developed a youth program called Makumbi. Makumbi is a Zulu word that means circle of warriors, and we the way we crafted the it was like we building young people to have war against high school dropout, war against ignorancy, war against illiteracy, war against teen pregnancy, war against drugs and gang violence and so forth. And I remember a time when it was Allah blessed us to have such an impact in the school that I worked for a nonprofit at the time, but the school actually gave me an office in the school because the impact we was having on all these young brothers, right? And so when something would go down and if it was a fight or static, they would get on the intercom, and you would hear through the school, Brother Muhammad, come to room 303. And then they had security there. They would call us what they call security, because they know we like them brothers respect security. They'll fight security. But I'll go and smack them upside their head, pull them by their ears, say, hey, wait, hey, Pookie, you better sit down, boy. We ain't roll like that, you know. So, and I had a kind of rapport with these young brothers, you know. And so it was this one young brother, and his name was, he was a Crip. And they called him Pig. And I used to tell him, I say, brother, I'm a Muslim. I can't call you Pig. I gotta call you the chicken wing or something, brother. The turkey wing or something like that. I can't call you Pig, brother, right? He's the last, hey, Brother Muhammad. I ain't no chicken, Brother Muhammad, right? But this brother, I remember one time he was acting a zip daggone fool in the school, and they say, Brother Muhammad, come to this room. And myself and another teacher, brother, they called him Brother Max, what there McCloud, we had ran to this classroom, and this brother was going in on this sister. He was cussing her out, all kind of B's and H's, and he was just going off. He was uncontrollable with this teacher, you know. And Brother Mac, the other teacher, this brother was one of them big burly black men, like 6'4", 6'5", you know, them big strapping, you know, Sambo type brothers, you know. And you know, he had grabbed little pig. He grabbed the brother and he held him, and then he said, "Brother, we love you." And I witnessed love soothe a savage beast. That brother became almost numb. Them words right there. And he looked up at this brother with almost tears in his eyes. And in his mind, a black man never said that he loved me without any freaky, you know, some funny stuff going on, you know. But from the heart, this brother felt that. And this brother, his mother came up to school and she said, Brother Muhammad, help my son. She said his daddy's in prison. His big brother's in prison. All his uncles have been killed. He's the only male that was that was near the age of being grown in the family. It was some other little children, but he was the only one that was almost grown. And she said, please help him. I say, sister, we're gonna do what we can do. We're gonna do our best, but it's choices and decisions that he gonna have to make. You know, no matter how hard you try, it's some of that is personal accountability. Well, I traveled and came to another city to do a talk on a youth conference, and this brother was trying to carjack somebody and wind up getting killed, you know. And that was so heartbreaking to me because we was working with this young brother, you know, and there was another brother in this same school who was a blood, and they used to get into it all the time. Now, this the redemptive side of it. This brother was a blood. He fighting all this. Ain't come to school, he fighting. It's like it's on. When you see a Crip, it's on. He finna fight right now. And so, but this young brother here, he started coming to our program, and he was listening. So we were playing Season Is Here. He was still buck wild, but he was listening, and we was making some improvements inch by inch with the brother. But he had such a bad record. He did one more thing, and they put him out of school indefinitely. And I was heated. I went to the principal like, hey man, you gotta let this brother back in school because I know if he in the streets, he finna get killed or go to penitentiary. I already know the kind of like people. I already know where he going because his attitude, his temper and stuff, right? So I appeal to them till they say, brother, this last thing. So I go to this brother home for a home visit because I wanted to stay in touch with him because we had took this young brother to Savior's Day. We took him to a Savior's Day event, and this brother, right when they put him out, he's walking around the school messing the black man. You know what I'm saying? But he still will knock somebody out, but he be messing the black man though, right? He was trying to learn something, but he was still buck wild a little bit, right? And so I go to his home, and what I found out blew me away. This brother, when he was 14, now he was 15 at the time. No, when he was 12, he witnessed his father get shot in the head and murdered right in front of him. Right, 12 years old, never had no counseling, he never went through auditing, none of that. All this trauma is on this brother's head. His mother was so ill affected by her husband getting killed that she went deeper into drug addiction. And at 13, this brother and his sister watched their mother foaming from the mouth OD on heroin, right? This 13. So now he's 13, this trauma is in his little brother's head. They hand him over to his grandmother. His grandmother's an alcoholic and she addicted to gambling. So all the little money, you know, when your parents die, you get like SSI, something like that. You get that check from your parents. All that money that they was getting that's supposed to take care of them, the grandmama was taking it, drinking it up, going to the boat, going to the casinos, spending all the money. So when I found out what that brother had been through, I went to the school and I asked the teacher, I said, do anybody know what that young man? Because they thought he was just a little thug. He was just crazy as hell. He just hard-headed. They thought they roll him off. He didn't want to listen. But when I found out what he'd been through and never had no counseling, never had no professional help, and I told them that it was that appeal that allowed him to come back to school. This brother came back to school. He wound up graduating. He got a beautiful family now. He married with children. He's doing good. He's working. And it's something, he gave all his children Muslim names. He never officially joined the nation, but his children got Muslim names. They all got Muslim names, and you know, if you talk to him, he'd be like, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, brother, alhamdulillah. You know, to this day, and he and I still keep in touch periodically. But it's stories like that that really make me know that our lives, no matter how much dirt we got on us, that we can say something, we can be some kind of example. As the minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is an excellent example for us. We can be an excellent example for somebody. It's somebody out here that want to hear your story. It's somebody out here that your story, your life can inspire, that can motivate them, that can help them shift perspective as the minister have done for so many of us. And it's perfect example to us. Man, in his example, he exposed a lot about his own self and closing the gap. He talked about his own struggles and the ups and downs of him growing as a young minister and, you know, as a young laborer in the nation and certain things that he had to deal with. He exposed us to his story. That's I Closing the Gap, one of my favorite books. I mean, that's one of my favorite books on the planet. Well, I love that book like that, Closing the Gap. But just to answer your question, brother, dealing with the young people, you know, the countless lives, and I've been to many funerals. You know, we've lost many of them young brothers, but it's a lot of them that's doing real good right now. That's family oriented. They civilized. They just doing some beautiful things in life, and you know, that's probably been the greatest achievement in my life. Has been the ability to affect these young brothers and do something of value for them, to serve them as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has and continue to serve us.
Praise be to Allah.
Oh, praise be to Allah. I think that's a perfect segue to this question right here, dear brother, as we're winding down our program. But you have beaten many odds, beloved, from incarceration to the struggles of whatever you've gone through in just developing entrepreneurship. Because a lot of people think that it's easy. You know, you've been a motivational speaker, as well as now engaged in this new endeavor in your life called farming. What was the motivational drive that forced you to take a second, and I'm going to say also a third and fourth or fifth look at life and take action on rebuilding and restoring your future?
The statement of do for self or suffer the consequences. And I look at that from so many different levels. Because we think that for years I thought the consequences was that this society was gonna fall and I wasn't gonna have a job, and so I ain't gonna have no money to take care of my family. But there's so many other benefits. If you take a piece of paper and you write down what's the consequences of not doing for self, but you write down the opposite of that. And it's something I learned from Brother Jabril. Man, I'll be pleased with that big brother. I had an opportunity to spend time with Big Brother Jabril when I was in Phoenix. And he taught to study the opposites. So anytime I look at a word, his instruction was to go to the thesaurus and look at the synonyms, the antonyms of these words, look at the opposite, go to the etymology of the word. You know, he was big on words, you know. So I always look at the opposite. So I look at something and I look at the opposite of it too. So I want to see doing for self, it's the benefit, but it's also a negative consequence in doing for self. Well, there's a brother in St. Louis, Brother Robert E. Levinex. He's probably one of the most, and when I was coming up, when I got out of prison, I remember Brother Robert had a booth at the flea market, and I was on parole. I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to get my parole officer on my head. I'm trying to get me some work. And I remember I came to Brother Robert. I said, hey, brother, I need a job. He said, brother, don't disrespect me, brother. Now Elijah Muhammad said, do for self, brother. Consequences. I'm thinking like a Negro. I just need a job. I'm on parole, man. And he talking about don't disrespect him, do for self. But that brother through his life, he started showing me how to do for self. And really, I was forced. See, brothers come from them camps. I was almost forced to do for self. Because, hell, I ain't had no work experience. I went to prison from high school. So the only job I had prior to high school that I got paid, I worked in a Blue Sea restaurant in East St. Louis, cleaning tables and all that before I went to prison. That was the only job I ever had in my life prior to going to prison. So I come out, they're like, what's your resume? Man, I worked in a child hall, I was in solitary confinement. I ain't had no work experience like that, right? So I was forced on some level to go down the road of doing for self, but I found out how liberating it was. But when they say do for self or suffer the consequences, it led me down the road of doing something for self. And when I came home, I had a child every year for the first 4 years I was out. Now I was seeing it a little bit. I say a little bit. I was seeing it, right? And I had these babies, and they got 2 different sisters. Now I was married to one, and then I wound up getting the girlfriend, and we had 2 other children. But show you how Allah worked. He gave me custody of all 4 of these children. It wasn't planned like that. That wasn't my plan. I ain't know about being no daddy, no father, because I didn't have that example in my life outside of the minister. I had no personal example in my life outside the minister and the FOI that I had knew when I was coming up of being, what a father was. So, lesson again, when I went to prison, I became emotionless. I was a sheep among lions and wolves. My mother and them wasn't really there for me when I got locked up. I had a sister. My little sister used to write me every now and then. And my little brother, Bruce, he in Houston now. He became a celebrity chef. But he started hustling a little bit, and he would come visit me as a little young hustler, teenager. He'd come up there with a little jewelry on and dope money, and he'd come see his big brother and put money on my books and stuff like that, right? But other than that, and that only happened a few times. But I didn't get a lot of visits. I count on one hand with fingers left over the number of times people visited me in prison or sent me money. So I had to survive in that. So at a certain point, I became numb. I became so emotionless. If my mother would have been chopped up by Jeffrey Dahmer and eaten when I was in prison, if I would have cried their family, and that's a big if, I would have cried because my logic told me, this your mother, man. You should feel something. I wouldn't have cried because I had an emotional connection, because I had severed all ties with the outside world emotionally. Because in prison, emotion is a weakness. Don't nobody care nothing about your daughter got raped. I got life without parole. The hell with your daughter. Don't nobody care about who got killed in that. I'm trying to make an appeal, get this 45 years back. So in that, don't nobody care. There's very little empathy and sympathy for your condition, because everybody got their own hell they're going through. So you learn to function like a robot. So when I came home and I got these children, lesson for me. I believe that Allah gave me these children because it reawakened in me a level of humanity that prison robbed from me. It quickened in me an emotional side again, because I had to be compassionate and concerning about somebody other than me. I couldn't be like, partner, it's me against the world no more, because now I got children now. And I had 3 sons and a daughter. I had to be more compassionate, more concerned about them. So they quickened in me an emotional side, a human side again, that gave me some degree of balance. And that's been a long journey, decades of journey as far as emotional balance. I don't think I'm all the way there yet. Just certain things emotionally, I'm just numb to right now. But to answer the question, that statement, do for self or suffer the consequences, that really affected me deeply, because I started thinking about what's the consequences of not doing for self. And it's so much beyond not getting a job. The benefit of doing for self, because you limit it when you're working for somebody else. It's only certain things you can do. They got your time, and of course, if you're doing that, at least be preparing for a still away. I'm saying at least have a still away mentality. I don't want to do this forever. I'm gonna do this right now, but I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna take it to another level at a certain point. But if we still thinking as believers in 2024 that I'm gonna work for 20 years and retire, and I watch them kind of thing, I watch them like, hey brother, I'm gonna retire 20 years and get my pension and all that kind of stuff. In this day and time, with all the signs that we see, that's almost insanity almost. But some people think that. I've heard some believers talk like that. But that's like insanity though. So that statement for suffer the consequences, it really done something to me. And I just want to end with, I want to share this story here about my mother. Because my mother, when I was growing up, my mother was the go-to person, they believe. My mother, she had her first child at 14. She had my twin brother and I at 16. She had my other brother at 18 and my younger brother, who's now a celebrity chef, at 20. So by the age of 20, she had 5 children, had been married twice. My mother she didn't have a lot of formal education. So she grew up in them streets. But that woman, I said she had a PhD in streetology. That woman knew how to hustle, and she knew how to survive in them streets. She one of them sisters from the hood that was pretty, had gold teeth, one of them little dime piece type sisters, and she would pop pistols, and she was fine. She knew how to hustle. So the dope man, the hustle, they loved her because she was pretty to be on the side, and she'd throw them things up, and she'd fight and bust that pill. If they needed that too, right? So my mother was a go-to type person when I was growing up. If your daughter got pregnant at a young age, hell, call Cherry. She knew what to do about that. She was an OG at getting pregnant as a teenager. She knew exactly what to do about that. If your water got turned off, hell, call Cherry. She knew how to turn your water back on. She was in the hood. If you had some standing, call Cherry. She come with them things, and she gonna take care of business. So I grew up knowing that my mama was the go-to type person. But when I got locked up, she wasn't that for me. I would collect calls from the Department of Correction, click. I'm like, damn. Collect calls from click. I didn't know she started getting high on her own supply. And she started struggling with drug addiction, right? So that's what made me numb. I'm thinking that my mother abandoned me. I'm thinking that, damn, you get your life for everybody else, but you know, I'm calling. I need you. When you get in trouble, you call your mama. You don't call nobody else. As a guy, you call your mama. You know what I'm saying? Mama, you know what I'm saying? No matter how hard-headed you are, you can call your mama, right? And so I'm calling her, she wasn't answering, so it made me numb. And it actually grew in my own mind, I grew a hatred for my mother. Now, my mother and my little brother came me from prison when I was released. That was an awkward ride home. It was really awkward because I festered this thought that I can't stand y'all. Y'all wasn't up for me. I did it, y'all. Solitary confinement. I went through mace, tear gas, billy club. These devils, they doing this and that and all kind of stuff. You know, it was crazy. And I needed somebody, but it was nobody there but God. See, a lot of force put me in a situation where I couldn't rely on nobody but Him, right? And so years later, when I came home, my mother, the minister, after the Day of Atonement, and it was one of them Day of Atonement lectures, and the minister breaking down them 8 steps of atonement, and he was talking about if somebody did you wrong, go and point out the wrong, and you know, because atonement is not for them, it's for you, right? So I'm listening to it, I say, oh man. So I go to my mother's house, I called her after the Day of Atonement lecture, this years ago, and I said, Mom, I want to talk to you. She said, come on out there, baby. And I never forgot, I go out to the house, she was frying some chicken, and the grease was going, and macaroni, some rice-a-roni, and she cooking, and said, what's going on? I kissed her on her cheek. I said, I want to talk to you. And she said, what's going on? I said, Mama, I said, I hate you. And this Cherry now, she's straight drug addict right now, but she's still Cherry though. Like right. Cherry. Don't get it twisted, right? So my mama, she looked at me, and she put her hands on that skillet, like on that hand with that thing you hold pots with, that little warmer thing. And her face was like, I don't know if my son came lost his damn mind. But if he did, I'm gonna throw this hot grease in his face and bust his head with this cast iron skillet, right? So I say, hold on. I see the look. She finna attack. I say, hold on. I say, Mama, let me tell you why I feel like that. My mama, what she said to me blew my mind, bro. My mother, I said this. I said, Mama, when I got locked up, you wasn't there for me. Man, I called. You didn't accept my collect calls. I wrote you letters. You didn't respond back. But I said, you put your life on the line in the hood for people when I was coming up. I mean, you getting shot at, you shooting at people. I seen all that coming up, but you wasn't there for me. Man, my mother looked at me with tears in her eyes. Look at what my mother said. It blew me away. She said, son, when you got locked up, it wasn't nothing I can do about it. I talked to lawyers, the street connections, wasn't nothing that finna help you out. She said, I didn't know if you was gonna get killed and die in prison, that I would never see you again. And she said, because I wasn't the most religious person, I didn't start going to church. I didn't start praying. She said, I started smoking drugs to escape the pain of what I thought you was about to go through. Because I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't take it. Now here I am thinking that my mother abandoned me, that she didn't like me, that she don't love me. And she's telling me that one of the contributing factors of her becoming a crackhead, her becoming a straight drug addict, was trying to escape the pain of what she thought I was about to go through. And that blew my mind. Because it showed me that we can't judge our parents, that they got a story. No matter how, no matter what relationship that we think we got with them, they got their own story. And from that point on, my mother, we atoned and we became so tight. And my mother, before she passed, I'm gonna end this story right here on how I got my mother to meet the minister. Before she passed, my mother had cancer. She struggled with cancer for years. And this woman was resilient. I mean, she was in hospice. She come up out of hospice. This woman had a strong will. And I was at one of the doctor's appointment where the cancer doctor say, we don't know how you still living. Because this cancer has metastasized throughout your whole body, you know, and she's still living. And she said, I got too many damn grandbabies. I can't die right now. That's what my mom said to the doctor, right? And so my mother, when I was in Phoenix once, I told my ex-wife, my sister called me and said they gave mom 8 weeks to live. And I said, oh, man. And I had moved to Phoenix. I was in Phoenix 9. Now, we in St. Louis. Hey, look, I didn't have the money to even go down there at that time. I jumped in the car. I had 8 children at the time in the house. I was a single breadwinner. I ain't even had the money to get to St. Louis. I'm on the phone with FOI, sending money through MoneyGram. I say, but I'm coming through New Mexico right now, brother. They like, brother, it's a liquor store on this street right here. I'm gonna send the money going out to that just for gas money and hotels and stuff like that. So the fruit really helped me get there. And other people I know in the community, they helped me get to St. Louis. And when I get to St. Louis, I send one of my sons up in the room with my mother. And she looked and she looked like, that's one of the red boys. Like, where your daddy at? You know, and I come in there and I'm kissing my mother. She had lost a lot of weight. She was like real little. She was like shriveled up. And so my mother said, I came to her, I kissed on the cheek, and I was like, man, I couldn't believe my mother had lost so much weight because she was on that chemo and radiation. That stuff was killing her, right? And so my mother, I said, mother, I get my phone out and I say, mama, do you have any regrets in life? Anything you want to do before you die? I'm thinking she gonna say, I want to go to Jamaica, you know, I want to go to Hawaii or something like that. She said, no, I ain't really got no regrets. She said, yeah, I got one regret. I said, what's that? She said, I want to meet Louis Farrakhan before I die. I said,
wow.
What? I said, you want to meet the minister, mama? Look at what my mother said. She said, I want to meet the minister because you was my worst child. You turned out to be my best child. And I want to meet the man that's responsible for that. And I said, oh, man, that touched me. Now, my mother came up out of hospice at that time. She was on hospice. A year later, she going back being Cherry again, out on the block, doing her thing. Police kick her house in and take my twin brother to jail and all that. And I called my mother and I say, mother, you deal with all the radiation and chemo. Come to Phoenix and see Dr. Patina, Brother Jabril's wife, who's a naturopathic doctor. I said, come up here and see her because that other stuff is killing you. My mother never been on a plane before. Straight hood, never been on a plane. Her first time on the plane, we flew her in 2009 from, this was a year later, as my mother told me that she wanted to meet the minister. We flew her on New Year's from St. Louis to Phoenix, Arizona on New Year's. And when she get there, she see Dr. Patina and Dr. Patina do the QRA procedure on her. And my mother, I was driving taxi at the time, and my mother had got real sick. And my ex-wife called. She said, "Mom, she's in a lot of pain." I said, "Man, call the paramedics. I'm on my way there now." And so when I get there, the paramedics got her on the little stretcher thing, and they take her to the hospital. Now we get to the hospital. My mother say, "Damn, I thought I was gonna get to meet Farrakhan before I died." Now I forgot what she said a year before. The minister of them had just came into the city yesterday. They, the minister come to Phoenix every year. He come to Phoenix every year for, right before Savior's Day. Him and some of the family, they come to Phoenix to the palace up there, right? So he had just came in yesterday. And I'm like, oh, man, I got to get mom to see the minister. So I called, I know Brother Melvin got a holy name now, but I know him as Brother Melvin. I know the minister gave him a holy name now. But I called Brother Melvin with the team, with the E-team, and I told Melvin what my mother said, that my mother said that she wanted to meet the minister. And look what my mother told me in St. Louis, that the law Master Muhammad's my witness. On her death, or what we thought was her deathbed, she said she want to meet the minister. She said this to me too. She said, but if I die before I meet him, if I can get close enough to him and touch the hem of his garment, or if he can sit over my grave, I can feel his spirit. And my mother at this time, she's straight up on crack. Hog eating, alcohol, crack, everything. Ain't going to no mosque, no MDT, nothing in her head, none of that. But this, because of me, the effect the minister had on me, she loved this man, right? So I called Brother Melvin to tell him all this, and he said, brother, call Josh. Man, Allah be pleased with Joshua Farrakhan. He said, call Brother Joshua. He gave me Joshua Farrakhan number. I called Brother Joshua. I told him that. I said, man, I gotta get my mother to meet the minister. She ain't got long. She want to meet him before she died. He said, brother, write out in the letter, give it to Sister Amina, with Sister Kim at the time. He said, take it to the National House and give it to Sister Kim. And I did it. I took it. This was on a Friday night. Saturday morning, I get a call from a 773 area code. And it was Sister Kim. Assalamu alaikum, this is Sister Kim, the executive secretary. I'm like, dang. She said, the minister read your letter and he want to honor your request. What's your address? I'm like, I'm going to come to my house. Like, I'm blown away with this, right? I'm like, what? to my mother, I had drove past the National House with my mother so she could see the National House over there. And she like, Farrakhan live in that house right there? You know, it's a nice, beautiful house. You ever been to Phoenix, you seen the palace, you know, it's a beautiful building right in the hood, like, you know. And so I don't want to inconvenience the minister. I said, well, I can bring her to that. And the minister was talking to Sister Amna, like, he was saying, like, well, can she walk? Is she? I said, yeah, she can walk. We can hold her. She can walk. The minister said, okay, tell him come over here tomorrow, Sunday, after 12:30, right? So we go and meet the minister. Now, my mother tell my ex-wife, who's an MGT, she said, I can't go meet Farrakhan any kind of way. I got it like a black queen when I meet Farrakhan. Can you give me one of them pretty Muslim outfits that y'all be wearing? My mother had on a garment. I'll send y'all this picture of my mother and me. She got on a garment. Only time she ever had a garment on in her life. My ex-wife had just brought some garments from Sister Betty, who wrote the book, Dear Holy Apostle. She was selling garments. And she had just bought some new garments from Sister Betty. And so she put on one of these garments, had her hair wrapped up. My mama like, yep, like a queen. And we go over there to meet the minister. Mother Khadijah come down and give my mother a kiss and a hug and say, we praying for you, sister. And the minister come in and Brother Joshua Farrakhan. And the minister started praying with my mother. And the minister said, he held my mother's hand. He prayed with us, right? Now, my mother at this time, family, she had a tumor on her brain. The cancer had metastasized so much, she was defecating blood. That she was in pain, constant pain and stuff like that. As Allah, Master Muhammad's my witness, when my mother met Jesus, when she met the Messiah.
Come on, beloved, come on.
A few months later, she called me. She said, Red, you ain't going to believe this. I say, what, mama? She said, they told me my cancer went in readmission. So my mother was sending my she said, readmission. I said, what? She said, the tumor gone off my brain. I'll watch the minister heal my mother. So when people say, and I said that, and I might cuss a little bit. I'm going to rough around the edge a little bit. But can't nobody tell me a damn thing about the Ahmad Messer Louis Farrakhan, because I witnessed it firsthand, the power of this man, his healing power on my own mother. She lived another 7 years after that right there, and she didn't die from cancer. She didn't die from cancer. When she died, she couldn't leave the streets alone. And it was the drugs and the hard life that took her out. But it wasn't, the cancer was gone. Yes, I witnessed the Ahmad Messer Louis Farrakhan heal my mother. You know? Wow. So I tell you, everybody, the power of this man in his own way. And I felt so good because this man took time out of his busy schedule to deal with a quote unquote ex-con and a drug addict. He sit with kings and queens and rulers, but he took time to sit with us. That meant so much. And I got them pictures now with my mother and I, and the minister, he hugging us, and we in the palace. And you know, you get them pictures. I blew them up like person size. I got them big, you know, some big pictures of that right there, you know. And I always cherish that time and cherish that moment, and forever love the minister for even taking the time out, you know, to see my mother and to see us. And he gave her another 7 years of living because of her faith. She wanted just touch the hem of his garment. And she was a faithful woman in her own way. Even though she was steeped in drug addiction and steeped in the street life, she in her own way, she believed that this man got to be the Messiah because he turned real life around.
Oh, beloved.
Mary, what is it? Mary Medellin. I'm mispronouncing the word again, but Mary. She was a Mary of many, and may Allah be pleased with your mother. Wow, that brother. What a storyteller. You are true to that. Praise.
Beloved, that was, look, Brother Ghazi, you will not have a testimony unless you have been tested.
Yes.
But like you're walking on the path, beloved. You keep walking on that path because Allah's showing you in so many ways, but it was because of your own intervention. You know that part of the Quran that talks about how die not unless you die a Muslim. That's what you did for your sisters, for your mother's life. Excuse me. That's what you did.
Praise
because,
hey, hold on. Can I say something real quick?
Come on, brother.
Hold on. That ain't even the end of the story. Look at this right here.
Oh, it's not the end of the story. Sister Latrice, stay tuned, Sister Latrice. It's another one. Latricia. Am I probably
When my mother
Latricia.
passed away,
Latricia.
when my mother passed away,
Come on.
and I say, man, it was during Ramadan. Look at this. It was during Ramadan, and it was on my spirit. So my mother and I, we had a tone. So now me and her close now. I love my mother. I have an affinity for my mother now because the minister told me about atonement. Get it up off of you, man. And I realized that I was misjudging and misperceiving my own mother, right? And so before she passed away, she was on my mind and heart so much. And I told my ex-wife, I said, I gotta go to St. Louis to see Mom. She said, why? I said, just on my heart. Now she'd been sick before, bounced about that. This woman was resilient. So we didn't think she was gonna die right then because she'd been going through that for 20 years, you know? And so I fly to St. Louis, don't tell nobody else on that. I just go down to St. Louis. My family, they found out by seeing me on Facebook. They're like, Red, you in St. Louis? I'm like, yeah, I came down there to see Mom. I spent a few days with Mom, and her last meal, God, the captain in St. Louis, God, they're gonna hurt me for cent. I can't think of my sister's name. Sister captain in St. Louis. The MDT went up to the where my mother was at and gave her some bean soup. And she called me, she said, the Muslims came up here and gave me some bean soup, you know. And I didn't know that was a new mother, but that my mother's last meal. I didn't know that. She told me that, and when I went back to Phoenix, 2 days later, my sister called me. During Ramadan, I had just broke my fast, ate a spoon of bean soup. My sister said, Mom just passed. I said, oh man. And my family say her spirit was calling for you. She wanted to see you one more time before she died. She didn't tell me she was gonna go. I didn't know that. I'm thinking she's gonna live, but it was in my spirit. Now, when she passed away, I go to St. Louis and my sister now, and none of my family believers in the nation, right? They're straight Negroes, most of them Negroes, right? And but they found the picture of my mother for the obituary. They found the picture of her and the minister. So they put that in the middle of the obituary. So when I get down there and see the obituary, I say, man, who put this picture in there? My sister say, that's Harry Farrakhan. We put that in the obituary, right? So I say, praise be to Allah. Now we had a place rented for my mother for her, you know, like the repast. We had a place rented. When we go to this place here, you know, I did my mother's eulogy. I did it, and on my mother's body, I did the eulogy. And we go to this place. They got chains on the door on this place because 2 days prior to that, the health department came to this place and they didn't pass inspection. They shut it down. My family, they like crazy. My family ready to shoot the place up, burn the place down. They cussing, and we got all my family up here, and they like. So I called Minister Donald, March 28. I said, brother, we're gonna win the situation, brother. Because some of them came out to the funeral. They all came to the funeral. They all knew my mother. And he said, brother, bring him to the mosque. And so he called it FOI, and they straightened, got the mosque together. St. Louis got a nice building, a nice mosque. And it was something because we on this parking lot, and I tell my uncle, I say, man, okay, we're gonna go to the mosque. And it was something because you hear people hollering, hey, get in the car, we going to the mosque. And one of my cousins said, we going to what? He said, nigga, get in the car, we going to the mosque. You know, so here we are, my mother in her death. She got my whole family in the mosque in her death. You hear me? She got all these Negroes. I've been trying to get to the mosque for 20 years. Now here they are all in the mosque. And after that, the FOI and the believers, they serve my family so well. Some of my nephews to this day, they be sending me clips of the minister. They be like, and some of them reach out to me and they say, how can I become a Muslim? I got young women in my family who were lesbians. They say, can we be a Muslim and live in town? I say, hey, hold on. I said, you can come like that, but you can't that, you know. But they love the atmosphere so much that they want to just come. Like, I want to be a part of this. So my mother in her death, she got my entire family to come to the mosque in her death. And I just thought that was just remarkable. I said, man, Allah just, he put a pin on it right there. To me, he put a pin on it right there.
Praises be to Allah. Oh, brother, listen, you know you got another book that you have to write, right?
Oh, yes, man. I got a few of them. You do too.
Oh, you already know. Yes, I'm just saying. Look, Sister Farrah said a movie.
A movie.
Look, you don't went all into a movie, brother. You know, you got a movie, a short film, a series.
And don't
Brother,
look, Brother Ghazi, do not shy away from any of that, because the
I'm
Honorable
telling
Minister
you.
Farrakhan himself has said one thing that he needs more of is believers bearing witness,
Storytellers.
giving their testimony, bearing witness.
Yes.
That absolutely, you need to put it out in the public. You're putting out in the
You
public
got
here
it.
on this program.
Right. Yay!
But put that in a book, put that in a documentary, put that in a movie, whatever way you could put it, my brother.
Yes.
Because you'll be inspiring millions, inshallah.
Praises be to Allah. Okay, and with that being said, we have a segment on the show, Brother Ghazi. It's called the Knowledge Corner. And of course, the Knowledge Corner, where you gain knowledge, you gain power. And our Knowledge Corner segment of today is, of course, the rose that grew from concrete. And I wanted to highlight Tupac, which is, again, one of my favorite rappers of all time. I wanted to touch, because he actually had a poem that actually was titled A Rose That Grew from Concrete. And I want to actually expound on the poem, but also read the poem after I expound on the poem. In the poem, The Rose That Grew from Concrete by Tupac Shakur, the poem represents the way that someone can become, that comes from something great. Okay, let me repeat. I'm sorry. The poem represents the ways that someone can become something great, coming from a place that's not recognized as great. In this poem, he used a rose, something that recognized as beauty, even in its imperfection. And the rose, the actual poem reads, The Rose That Grew from Concrete. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proven nature's natural law is wrong. It's learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else cared. And that is the poem from Tupac. May Allah be pleased with our dear brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So, brother Ghazi, last words to our audience.
Well, I just want to thank you all for this beautiful moment, and it's
coming on.
It's so many thoughts coming to my mind. I got so many stories in my brain that I want to share, but the time is limited.
Listen, we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back.
Yeah,
we're gonna bring it back.
Yeah. If I'm ever blessed to come back, I want to share a story when I hit to Chicago to see the minister at a young age. But that's a whole nother story right there. I would tell people, anybody who listens to this call and this broadcast, that study. We taught that knowledge itself is the greatest of all knowledge. It's akin to the knowledge of God. And don't just limit the knowledge of self to our history, ancient history, but study your own self and your own story, your own personal life, and the trials and tribulations that Allah took you through right now in your own life. Because your story will either empower you or imprison you. It's your choice, depending on how you look at it. It will either empower you or imprison you. And at one time, my story imprisoned me, but I broke free from that. And now it has empowered me, and it continues to empower me, because I'm always gonna make some mistakes and make poor choices sometimes, but I'm always learning from it. So I would encourage all the believers just to keep on going and know that our God is here to bless us, and to bless us beyond our wildest imagination. Like, nowhere in my life, the way things are going right now, it's opportunities coming that it's way beyond. I know it's the God, because we ain't got that kind of juice to do it like that. So I know it ain't nothing but the blessings from the God, but it comes with persistency. In my Sabbath days, I had 2 tats put on my arm, and one is sabir, the Arabic word for consistency and patience. Like, don't ever give up. Keep on keeping on, man. Like, keep going no matter what goes on. Keep on keeping on. You know, don't stop. You know, when you fall, get back up, shake it off. You know, and I'm always open. You know, I'm a coach. I'm a mindset coach, and I love it. I lace it with the code with the Elijah Muhammad's teaching. So no matter who I talk to, most of my clients are not in the Nation of Islam, but they love it because it's so raw and it's so authentic, and it's laced with the teachings of Elijah Muhammad. So if any believer who would like to get in touch with me, you know, of course, you can reach me at ghazi@ghazispeaks.com. My email or yourpathis unique@gmail.com. Or you can call me personally at 602-544-6239. I would like to just help all believers, any believer I can, and show them how to take their story and pull the valuable lesson about their story, take their life to another level. If you feel stuck right now, you feel you're stuck, and it's same thing, confused, I'm telling you that the answer, the solution is right in your story. The problem, Islam is mathematics. The problem, the solution to the problem is right in the problem itself. It's right in your story itself. If I tell you a problem, 9 + 9 is 18, 9 + 9 is a problem. Well, the answer is in the problem itself. Sometimes we look outside of the problem and try to find it. It's right in the problem itself. We got to know how to go into that problem, though, mathematically, and extract that answer. But it's right there in our face all the time. So I just want to thank you all. This was beautiful. I love y'all energy, love y'all spirit.
Also,
every time Sister Felicia send me a text, come on, I love it. So thank you all, and may Allah bless you all.
listen, his book is $15. Go and purchase y'all books now. Stop playing.
Yeah.
$15 for all this knowledge. $15 on Amazon.
Yes.
Purchase the book. This is the front of the book. This is the back of the book. Purchase the book from our brother. Look, I'm gonna purchase mine. I'm gonna get mine on Saturday. So and no, you can't borrow it. So get your own book.
No. Get your own book.
Get your own book. Praises be to Allah. Well, again, Brother Ghazi. Yes,
Sister Kalila, it's about that time.
Yes, it is about that time.
Now, if you have enjoyed this program, as we work diligently to present materials to all of you that is oriented towards saving lives, if you've been touched by what has been shared here tonight, please support our Sister Kalila. Guess what?
What?
Our StreamYard bill is coming up.
Oh, it is. Oh my God! Don't remind me.
You could just put 5 on it, but don't sing the rest of the song.
We need more than 5. We need
more.
Let's cancel that song. We need more than 5. We need like 25, 35, 55, 45, 65, 105.
Whatever you could give, we are like the aliens in Toy Story. We'll be eternally grateful.
Right.
But please support whatever you can do tonight and at any time. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts as the 7th Region Coalition to Help Save Lives to bring to you quality programming oriented towards the upliftment of our people. And so we thank our student regional minister for putting us on this course.
Yes.
And Sister Kalila, I have to put this commercial in real quick.
Of course, please.
This coming Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have a double header, if you will, in Miami. We're going to have Student Minister Nuri here in town. On Saturday, we will have a workshop with Student Minister Nuri and his wife, Sister Terry.
Yes.
They will be having Breaking the Silence, Signs, Symptoms, and Approaches. And that is oriented towards the concept of mental health. We encourage the community to come out and hear our brother and our sister in that invaluable workshop. We're located on 5660 Northwest 7th Avenue. And this workshop on Saturday will be at 3 p.m. Go to my Facebook page. It will be shared all over the place on there. And again, that's on Saturday at 3 p.m. And delivering the keynote lecture on Sunday will be Student Minister Nuri. Once again, the name of the lecture is God's Plan for God's People. We invite the community to come on out and hear the life-giving teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is all about saving lives.
Praises be to Allah. We still got these shirts on sale too, by the way.
Oh yeah, we do.
Black
support,
love wins. Please support. Please support. Go to 7th Region Coalition at gmail.com. 7th Region Coalition at gmail.com.
I'm gonna shout out my brother over here. Brother Hannibal said, "Thank you for the invite, Tony Muhammad." Yeah, I mentioned.
Praises be to Allah.
Thank you for accepting my invitation, beloved. Praise be to Allah.
Praises be to Allah. And with that being said,
will we be back on next week, Sister Kalila?
Yes,
inshallah. God
mashallah.
Inshallah. Yes. But of course, mashallah, but inshallah.
Yes.
Mashallah, inshallah. Praise be to Allah.
Right.
All right.
With that, are we ready to close it out?
We are ready to close it out, brother.
We're not a clique. We're not a crew. We're not a gang. But what are we?
We are the 7th Region Coalition that always helping save lives.